Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing absolutely amazing. I was sitting here digging through my cards, but my camera decided it was time to record. So we're going to go ahead and do that so that we don't miss anything. All right. So what do we need to know today? Someone's true colors are showing, or they want to show you their true colors. They could have been wearing a mask in the past, actually, is what I am pulling energetically off of that. They feel like it's too late. We got a funeral card out here. Somebody could have actually encountered a loss of some sort, but what I'm getting off of that more than anything is that someone feels like something is completely over. They don't have a second chance, that you wouldn't give them a second chance at all. Maybe they went too far with something, or, they shut you out, what have you. I'm going to push this back just slightly so you can actually see a little better. Okay. What we got? GPS. They're watching you closely, though, with the GPS card, for certain. That card's come out a couple of times along with these other two cards, and I promise you, I do shuffle my decks, and I shuffle them well. But sometimes we get the same energy that comes in, and it sticks around for a good long period of time. A lot of times it's a certain collective, I sometimes read on other collectives, but it feels pretty consistent. So if you're feeling, what I'm putting out, then chances are good it's your collective that I am speaking to. If it relates, What else do we need to know here? What else do we need to know? Secrets. Love spell. Massive regrets. Someone could have been in their ear saying, especially if you're anything like me and you're spiritual and you're in here and you're working with energy, you're working with energy, and people don't understand that, especially people, very religious people. They may just not understand, what you are, and they feel like you're, putting out love spells and this, that, and the third, and that's not the case, for all of us. We don't. It's just not our thing. I think that, honestly, I feel like your words that come out of your mouth, manifestations and things of that, we manifest constantly. You have to forgive. I have a temporary thing holding my thing up in the back, and it keeps falling down, so it may fall all the way down. Anyway, what I was saying was, I feel like the things that we put out of our mouth are enough. I don't need rituals. I don't need any of these things to, co-create with the universe. I feel like what we put out of our mouth is, it's a spell in itself. We don't need to candles and incantations and things of that nature, not to put anybody who's, witchy down, Wiccan, whatever, doesn't matter. That's your thing. Go for it. Whatever. I don't knock anybody's religion, belief system, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. We're all welcome here. So anyway, but I feel like this person may have felt like if they knew you were spiritual, that you were out here and you were just putting spells on folks. They feel like you're moving on, letting go, and loving yourself, right? This person, we got shocking news and bad news. Blocked, spam calls and texts, married, secrets. Oof, I don't know. This person feels rejected. Or they could have rejected you. But I feel, in essence, that although this person may have tried to move on, even going as far as getting into another relationship, they aren't feeling whole, complete. They feel like they've lost something. We've got the thug card. Somebody's thugging it out over here. Probably with that thug card always makes me think of someone acting nonchalant when they're really hurting. But I've got shocking news and I also have bad news. So this is interesting with secrets and married and what. I'm going to clarify these cards, okay? I'm going to clarify this married card. Because it could mean that they want to marry you for some of you, and they realize with these massive regrets card that they made a mistake. Or they could have been with someone else and realized that, you know, this was a mistake. Oh no. For you, for this married card, the Fool came out. They want to get into a relationship with you. They feel like you're moving on. Let's see if we can get... They're in massive regret because they let you go. They should have made this fool's journey and taken a leap of faith, and they know that. That's what clarified this married card. Let's see what the bad news is about. Okay. Oh, I don't know what it is, but it was secret. There was some deception. Absolute deception. They know they need to come clean about something, and it's going to be bad news that they need to give you. Something that they weren't honest about with the Seven of Swords. This is a deceptive card. It's trickery. They played you. They played in your face, and they're terrified that when they tell you, you're going to reject them forever. That it's the death of it. That's the end of it, because they feel like whatever they did was pretty unforgivable. It's going to shock you. With this shocking news, yeah, it's going to shock you. Even if you know this person played in your face, they may have really, really played in your face. I hate it. I hate it. And it goes right along with the secrets, you know? They could have shut you out to keep you safe from something too, though. I'm feeling like if they rejected you and they walked away because they wanted to... Ooh, I'm feeling... Ooh. There's a whole level of panic right now. I'm feeling hot and anxious and... Oh. This is what I'm feeling like your person is feeling about whatever it is that they have to tell you. Woo, this could maybe even go as far as to get them into some sort of trouble. That's for some of you, you know, that don't make things fit if they don't, you know what I mean? If you know, oh my gosh, bottom of the deck, and these cards are all mixed around here. Deception. I had all my cards, I had taken them out today and I put them in a bag, so they were all kind of mixed up. So this card, look, like they're all out of sorts. Interesting. Okay. There needs to be healthy balance of physical, emotional, and spiritual intimacy for a relationship to be sustainable. And here's the thing. What I'm also feeling is that there was no balance. There was overgiving on what probably your side. And they probably took. And the take feels like they took from you. Whatever it was, they took more than they were entitled to. Hang on, guys. 1 second. Bear with me. I'm going to shuffle these out. But deception. Someone is wearing a mask. They could really be two different folks. They could be one way when they're with you and one way when they're with other people. Ooh, I'm feeling anxious behind. Whoa. And throwing things around. Nice. Okay. Different paths. They may have had different... maybe you, with this different path card flying out like it did, I feel like maybe this person made a different choice besides you, thinking that the grass would be greener on the other side, and it was not. Is what I'm pulling off of that. Let's see what else. Sorry, these cards are kind of jumpy tonight. What else do we need to know here? What else? So this... here we go with the twin flame card. Yeah, okay. All right, Spirit, we know. This makes more sense now. So typically, I'm sorry, still feeling the heat. There's also this card out too. So there's some tension there in the physical regard as well. But with this twin flame card, a lot of times with the twin flame, crazy crap happens. Like they can be, now, never ever let anyone abuse you. Really. Don't ever let, and abuse is not twin flame. It's just not, because your twin would never, although they may do shady shit and they may pull, pull all kinds of nonsense, they would never put their hands on you. They would never put their hands on you. Period and dot. That is not a twin flame relationship. If someone is putting their hands on you, you need to go and get some assistance for that, for real. Real seriously. But in a twin flame, there's a lot of runner chaser. There's a lot of rejection. That draws up lots of different wounds, childhood wounding, all of it. So they could abandon, they could, cut you off. They could choose another person over you, I mean, hell, they could do all sorts of things. I mean, even as far as taking from you things they shouldn't be taking. You know what I mean? And I mean physical items. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm not talking about SA or anything like that. Not at all. Another thing that doesn't happen. A twin flame hurts your heart. They hurt your heart a lot of times, because the thing about it is the whole journey is about people getting triggered, essentially, so that they learn what it is that they need to learn, heal what it is that they need to heal. And sometimes they come together, and sometimes you just catalyze each other to make great changes in your life so that you go on and you do, amazing things. Like for me, the catalyzation was that I have my channel, right? And now I'm on another path, to do hypnotherapy and to be able to help people, which is what my life mission is for. So it catalyzed me to make a number of changes. You wouldn't recognize me a year and a half ago. You wouldn't. So whether they always wind up in union, they do not. They do not. Sometimes it is simply and that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. It really is. Because the thing about it is free will is at play here. And if one person decides that they're just not willing to make the changes or heal, you can't come back into union. Twin flames cannot come back into union unless they're both healing. And they don't have to be a 1000% healed, anything like that. But the divine masculine usually is the one that's behind in the healing department, and they have to be open to laying down. A lot of times they use escapism, which could include third parties. It could include, accepting others' opinions. They're very 3D. They're money oriented. A lot of times, they may use drugs or alcohol to numb pain from childhood wounding, whatever the case. It's different for everybody. It's going to be there it goes. It's going to be very different from person to person. It's not just one size fits all type of a thing, because we're all here to learn different things on these journeys, right? So, with this twin flame card, all these, shocking news, rejection, all this stuff. Like I said, the divine feminine, a lot of times, been on a spiritual awakening, is very spiritual, does, maybe things like this, or is just way more free spirited and lives in the 5D more than she does in the 3D, doesn't care so much about the money piece, just really understands that when she's doing what her life purpose is, the funds will follow. You know what I mean? She will be in a good place. And would love for the divine masculine to be with her. But if they're not willing to do the work, then they're not aligned. So, if they're not aligned and she's got a mission to heal, you can't drag a person along behind you. They have to be doing their healing as well, or prepared to do it, and to step into it and to really be a whole different person. And a lot of times it does catalyze the divine masculine to go out there and to do amazing things because they work so well together. They build legacies together, help people together when they do come into union, when divine masculine does make that decision to heal himself, and to allow love into his heart and to allow someone to love him rather than settling for the surface level type situations, that don't ask him to be better, to be a better man, to, man is be a better masculine, whatever, because it's not a biological thing at all. Anyway, so yeah, and in this card, actually, between the twin flame card and the agreement card, you both made an agreement to focus on yourselves and then come back together as one. That is a contract. That is a soul contract. That is what divine masculine and divine feminine sign up to do. They meet, they go into this big change thing, and they they either fix it. And divine feminine typically does it, but as she does her healing, I mean, she stays stuck sometimes too. But as she does her healing, he's called to do his, because energetically, they're very, very connected. So, but if they do take different paths and he does go and choose somebody else, then, whatever, it is what it is. Then divine divine feminine is being called to keep the door open. Don't be so focused on the closed door that you don't see the one which is open for you. So sometimes the divine will be like, okay, divine masculine isn't doing what he's supposed to do. I'm going to bring somebody else in for divine feminine to show her that she is lovable. She is this and that and the third. And it could be another soulmate, whatever, it could be a karmic lesson. Who knows? And the thing about it is, if they're not in balance and in alignment, then they don't need to be together in the first place. But, like I said, the divine is not going to allow the divine feminine to remain unless she wants to. Sometimes we just want to be left alone and go out here and do our own stuff. And sometimes it's like that. But if a divine feminine wants a partner, then the divine in time will bring her one. You're not going to wind up by yourself. So if he wants to settle in his little comfort zone, or they want to settle in their divine masculine wants to settle in their comfort zone and stay there and not actually live an amazing life and make something happen, you know what I mean? And come into their soul's calling, they don't have to. They don't have to. They don't ever have to do it. So anyway, all that said, we also got you. You make me feel alive. I choose you without a doubt. My heart yearns for you. Frequency. I can't stop thinking about you. We're aligning on the same frequency and vibration. I feel like for this collective, divine masculine is getting it together. He might be hermiting and being real quiet and doing what he's supposed to do to get it together and maybe making his exit from another situation, but that he's not able to necessarily make it out. And they don't always tell you what's going on. And sometimes they wait too long to tell you, and that they could, they're typically not great at communication. The throat chakra, a lot of times, is very blocked. They don't tell divine feminine what's going on or what their plans are. You can't, and divine feminine, even though she is likely very connected to him or them, divine masculine, they don't always read minds, and nor do they want to read in between lines. They need words, they need confirmation of stuff. So sometimes, and the thing about it is, if you lived in fear for a long time, you can't very well come to your divine feminine and say, yeah, I'm getting it together. I mean, they might give you some hints that they're trying to make their life better, but they're could be making it better in ways they think that they need to provide for you or whatever, when in fact they need to be more spiritually aware and getting vulnerable and learning lessons to open their heart instead, you know, because the divine is calling them to do that and they feel like they need to be the provider or whatever. Spirit, what do we need to, okay. Surrender to the divine. What was I just saying? Seriously? Surrender to the divine. The divine masculine is being called to surrender to the divine. I'm not even going to read the card. Don't let your past hold you back. Exactly what I was just freaking talking about. That's amazing. South Node. The South Node and North Node are very good pieces of information to figure out. The South Node is what you were supposed to not do, okay? This is what will hold you back and what you're supposed to move away from. The North Node in your birth chart is which direction you're supposed to be going. So divine is calling this person to stop letting their past hold them back. This card also fell. Okay. Hold your vision. Fixed moon. I don't think I've ever read this card, so I am going to read it. Hold your vision. So you're being called to hold your vision. You know, go out and do whatever it is that you're being called to do, because right now I feel like Spirit is saying that the divine feminine needs to be, you know, focused and content with what she is doing right now. You know, right now I have a vision and I'm super excited about it. I'm very, very excited about my mission, and I am moving forward and really making things happen in my life. And it's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. There are two possibilities with this card. The first is that you need to stand firm in whatever situation you're in. The second, very different interpretation, that something is stuck. And it could be that with this divine masculine not coming to you with the honest truth about whatever it is, it's stuck. Could be referring to the situation you're asking about. If that's the case, have a think about what you can do to grease the wheels so that the events move forward. Are you being stubborn? This actually could be the stuck is typically because of the divine masculine. They either shut it down, maybe you called them to action and they were like, nope, and they ghosted. They were rejected. They passed on it, whatever it was, and for whatever reason. And they probably didn't give you a reason. They may have just shut it down and run from it. You know, they may have an avoidant personality type. So saying that patience is needed, and somebody does need to back down and avoid stagnation. A personal or professional relationship will be enduring. So it could be that this person is being stubborn, they're resisting change. You have to decide what's going on and which meaning applies to you, though. And this offers Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius is what it's referencing here. There's water here. I see ducks on water. I don't see too much else. Faith and patience are needed too. And with the 8-8 Lionsgate portal, right? If it's what you want to manifest, manifest it. If there are things about the situation, though, that you want to release, you need to release those things. And you'll know what they are because they're specific to your own situation, right? You don't have to shut the door on this. If you feel like it's in a period of pause, you know, do you need to wait? Maybe not. You know, perhaps no. Perhaps no. You know, you keep on pedaling. Keep your vision alive. Whatever it is that you're being called to do, divine feminine, do that. And focus on it. If someone comes along and, you know, offers you the world, well, then I guess the divine masculine will have to watch you live out your, you know, your life. And even if it's not what you want, you know, or not what they want, or not what you wanted, it just depends. It's going to depend again on, you know, what comes forth for you and what you actually want. So it's going to be different for everybody. You got to take that as it resonates. Nobody can tell you what to do. And also, don't take that twin flame and make it fit. If it doesn't fit, don't make it fit. But I know that what I can see here is the Divine Masculines being asked to surrender. That card flew out. And not to let their past hold them back. And their fears. Because they can love you all day, but the opposite of love is fear. It's not hate, it's fear. If they're going to stay over here in this fear, they cannot love you properly. It isn't until they release some things, and maybe, perhaps they're spiritual and, more spiritual than you think, and perhaps they need to release some things on this 8-8 portal. And maybe they will. Who knows? So, release the things that no longer serve. Manifest what you want. And hopefully this was helpful. A little bit. And if you're on a journey, God bless you, because it's not easy. It's just not. And that's what I have for you tonight. And I hope that this helps. Take care.